The stars were quiet, too quiet. In the year 2847, the galaxy hummed with 1,000 alien voices. Ships crossed the void between worlds every hour. Trade routes connected hundreds of civilizations. Peace, enforced by the Council of Ascended Races, stretched across light years of space. But Earth was silent, deep in Council space, on a research station floating near the edge of the Sol quarantine zone. A young alien scientist named Vex stared at his instruments. He belonged to the Kalari people, with their long fingers and silver eyes that could see heat patterns. This was his first assignment after graduation. Watching an empty barrier was boring work. The barrier itself was beautiful in a way. It shimmered like oil on water, a sphere that wrapped around an entire star system. Inside it somewhere was Earth, the humans. Vex had learned about them in school. They were the aggressive primitives, locked away 600 years ago for the safety of everyone. His people told stories about humans, how they fought wars over small pieces of land, how they built weapons that could destroy entire cities, how they killed their own kind over ideas and resources. The Council had done the right thing, everyone said. Some species were too dangerous to let loose among the stars. Vex checked his screens again. Energy readings from the barrier were normal. Nothing ever changed here. He started to reach for his lunch when an alarm beeped. Just once, soft. He looked at the display. There was a spike in the readings. Probably just a sensor error. They happened sometimes. Space dust could trigger false alarms. But protocol said he had to check. Vex ran the scan again. The spike was still there. Actually, it was growing. He leaned closer to the screen. The energy signature was coming from outside the barrier, from deep space. Something was approaching the Sol system. He enhanced the readings and felt his blood go cold. The signature matched something in the database. Old human ship designs. Ancient ones. From before the quarantine, that was impossible. All human ships had been accounted for when they built the barrier. Every colony ship, every explorer, every military vessel. They had made sure no humans were outside when they sealed them in. Vex contacted his supervisor. An hour later, 3 more scientists crowded into his small station. They argued about the readings. Sensor ghosts, one said. Impossible, said another. But the signatures kept getting stronger. Then, on the 3rd day of watching and waiting, they appeared. 3 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of sensor range. They were massive. Each one was over 2 kilometers long, shaped like daggers. Their hulls were scarred and dark, marked by centuries of travel through the void. They moved with purpose, heading straight for the barrier. Vex pulled up the historical database with shaking hands. The computer matched the ships to designs from 800 years ago. Human colony vessels from something called the First Expansion Fleet. They had left Earth in 2047, before humans even had proper faster-than-light drives. Everyone thought they had died in deep space centuries ago. But they were not colony ships anymore. Vex could see weapons bristling from their hulls. Massive cannons, missile banks, point defense systems, armor plates welded over what used to be passenger sections. These ships had been transformed into warships. The lead ship began broadcasting. The message was old human language, but the computer translated it quickly. A woman's voice, calm and cold, filled the station. This is Commander Elena Vasquez of the Earth colonial ship Indomitable Dawn. We left Sol 800 years ago, Earth time. We have detected an unknown energy barrier surrounding our home system. We demand an explanation. We demand immediate contact with Earth. You have 12 hours to respond, the message repeated, over and over. Vex looked at his supervisor. The older alien's face had gone pale. They both knew what this meant. The humans were not all locked inside the barrier. Some had been out in the dark, traveling for centuries, learning, building. And now they were home. Now they wanted answers. Vex sent an emergency transmission to Council headquarters. He marked it highest priority. Then he watched the 3 massive warships drift closer to the barrier, silent and patient as hunting cats. The galaxy was about to remember why they had feared humanity in the first place. Commander Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the Indomitable Dawn and felt the weight of 8 centuries pressing down on her shoulders. Not that 8 centuries had passed for her. Time was strange when you traveled close to the speed of light. For Elena and her crew, only 47 years had passed since they left Earth. She was 73 years old, gray-haired and tired. But Earth had aged 800 years without her. The first expansion fleet had been humanity's great dream. 12 massive colony ships, each carrying 10,000 people in suspended sleep. Their mission was simple: reach Proxima Centauri, humanity's nearest neighbor star, and build a new home. Earth was crowded in 2047. Resources were running low. The stars were the answer. But they did not have faster-than-light travel back then. The ships crawled through space at a fraction of light speed. The journey would take decades. Most of the colonists slept in cryopods, frozen and dreaming. Only a small crew stayed awake, rotating shifts every 5 years. Elena had been on her third rotation, 22 years into the journey when they found the debris. It was scattered across 1 billion kilometers of space. Pieces of ships. Alien ships. The metal was strange, not like anything humans had made. The fleet's scientists studied the wreckage for months. They learned some things. These aliens had faster-than-light drives. They had energy weapons. And they had died fighting something. The fleet commanders made a decision. They could not turn back. Earth was too far behind them. But they could prepare. They woke more people from cryo-sleep. Engineers, weapons designers, soldiers. They started converting the colony ships. The farming modules became factories. The cargo bays became armories. They built railguns using the metal meant for habitat domes. They created missiles from mining equipment. It took years. Most of the colonists never went back to sleep. They worked and they trained and they waited. Then they found more debris. Fresher this time. And something else, a signal, faint but clear. It was a distress call. Some alien colony was under attack. The fleet was still 6 years from Proxima. They changed course. What they found was a massacre. The colony was burning. The attackers were still there. Pirates, the fleet would learn later. Raiders who preyed on the weak. The pirates saw the human ships and probably laughed. Primitive vessels with crude weapons. They did not laugh for long. The human fleet attacked with everything they had. Railguns firing tungsten rounds at incredible speeds. Missiles that could crack asteroids. Point defense systems designed to stop micrometeors moving at near light speed. The pirates were used to fighting colonists and merchants. They were not ready for humans. The battle was over in 20 minutes. 9 human ships survived. 3 had been destroyed, along with 30,000 sleeping colonists. But they had saved the alien colony. They had proven something important. They could fight. They could win. After that, everything changed. The fleet captured pirate technology. Faster-than-light drives, energy shields, advanced sensors. They spent 15 years traveling between systems, learning, building, and growing stronger. They met other aliens, some friendly, some not. They learned about the galaxy's politics and powers, and they learned about the Council. Elena finally decided it was time to go home. They had been gone for 47 years, their time. They had lost good people, but they had succeeded beyond anyone's dreams. They had technology, knowledge, allies. Earth needed to know. Humanity needed to know they were not alone in the universe. 3 ships remained from the original 12. The Indomitable Dawn, the Perseverance, and the New Horizon. They set course for home. With faster-than-light travel, the journey would take only weeks. When they dropped out of faster-than-light near Sol, Elena expected to see the bustling traffic of an interstellar civilization. Instead, she saw nothing. No ships, no signals, just that barrier, glowing softly wrapped around everything. The fleet's AI analyzed it quickly. Quantum barrier technology, advanced, designed to block all communication and travel in and out. Someone had imprisoned Earth. Elena tried to hail Earth anyway. Her messages bounced off the barrier like light off a mirror. She tried every frequency, every language they had learned. Nothing got through. Then they detected the patrol ship, a small council vessel, doing routine monitoring of the barrier. Elena's communications officer intercepted its transmissions. What they heard made her blood boil. The council had quarantined humanity, locked them away like criminals. The official reason? Excessive violence. Apparently, when Earth had first reached the stars, they had defended themselves too well against pirates. The council decided humanity was too dangerous to be free. Elena called a meeting with her senior officers. The 3 ship captains joined her by video link. They looked at the barrier data. They looked at each other. The decision was unanimous. They were going to get their home back. Whatever it took, Elena sent her message to anyone listening. 12 hours to explain. 12 hours to fix this. or they would do it themselves. She was not making empty threats. Her ships carried weapons that could crack moons, armor designed to survive decades in deep space, crews who had learned to fight and win against impossible odds. The Council responded faster than she expected, not with answers, with warships. 200 of them, according to sensors, an enforcement fleet meant to deal with primitive species who did not know their place. Elena looked at the tactical display. 200 against 3. The Council probably thought this would be easy. They probably thought humans were still primitive, still weak. They were about to learn how wrong they were. She gave the order. Battle stations. Power up all weapons. Prepare for combat. The crew moved with practiced efficiency. They had done this before. They had survived worse. As the Council fleet approached, Elena spoke to her people one last time before the fighting started. We did not come home to start a war. But we will not abandon our people. We will not let tyranny stand. If they want a fight, we will give them one they will never forget. The Council ships opened fire first. Energy beams lanced across space, designed to disable primitive vessels without destroying them. They hit the human ships and scattered harmlessly across armor meant to survive collisions with space debris at relativistic speeds. Elena smiled. It was not a kind smile. Fire, she said quietly. The human railgun spoke, and the galaxy learned what humanity could do when they were truly angry. Council observer Thelmrek floated in his command chair, his tentacles tapping controls with practiced ease. He had served the Council for 60 years. In all that time, he had never worried about the humans. They were safely contained. A problem solved centuries ago. His species, the Valorians, had been among the founders of the Council. They had lived in space for 10,000 years. They had seen countless species rise and fall. They knew peace was precious. It required wisdom to maintain. Sometimes wisdom meant containing danger before it could spread. The human case had been clear. When they first reached space, they had been violent and unstable. They killed pirates who attacked them. Killed them all. No mercy, no prisoners. The Council had watched with horror. This was not how civilized species behaved. You negotiated. You used minimum force. You showed restraint. Humans did none of that. They fought like wounded animals. Vicious, effective, terrifying, so the Council made the hard choice. They built the barrier. They sealed Earth away. For the greater good. For galactic peace. Humanity would be safe inside their system. They could live their lives. Just not among the stars. Thelmrek had slept well for 600 years knowing he had helped protect the galaxy. Then the emergency transmission came from the research station. 3 human warships. Ancient ones. Demanding answers. Demanding freedom, Thelmrek was not concerned. 3 ships were nothing. The Council had thousands. The enforcement armada alone had 200 vessels dedicated to dealing with problematic species. They were equipped with disable weapons. Stun beams, electromagnetic pulses, tools designed to stop primitive ships without killing their crews. The Council was civilized after all. They did not kill unless absolutely necessary. He reviewed the human file again while the enforcement armada deployed. 800-year-old technology, sublight drives, primitive weapons, projectile-based systems, the kind of thing species used before they discovered energy manipulation. The human ships refused to surrender. They demanded the barrier be lowered. They claimed Earth was imprisoned. They threatened violence if their demands were not met. Thelmrek sighed. Always the same with aggressive species. They never learned. Force was the language of primitives. The Council would have to teach them a lesson. Disable their ships. Bring them in. Make them understand their place. The enforcement armada commander was a Krell named Zax. His species had been warriors once, millions of years ago. Now they served the Council, using their military knowledge for peacekeeping. Zax was confident. 200 ships against 3. He did not even bring his full force. These were humans. Primitives. It would be quick. Thelmrek watched the tactical display as the fleets closed on each other. The human ships moved strangely. They did not run. They did not try to flee. They turned to face the Council ships head-on. Like they wanted to fight. Like they thought they could win. Foolish. Brave, perhaps. But foolish. Jax hailed the human ships one last time. Stand down. Power off your weapons. This did not have to be violent. The Council was merciful. The human response was simple. Numzax gave the order to fire. 60 ships opened up at once. Stun beams lanced across space. They hit the human vessels across their hulls, their engines, their weapon systems. Enough energy to shut down a dozen normal ships. The human ships absorbed it all. Their armor, built to survive micrometeor impacts at near light speed designed to last for centuries in the void, simply took the punishment. The energy splashed across their hulls like water off stone. Thelmarek felt his first twinge of concern. That should have worked. Those weapons disabled ships. They always worked. Why were the humans still functioning? Then the human ships fired back. The railguns did not make any sound in space. No flash of light. No dramatic energy beam. Just small objects accelerating to incredible speeds. Tungsten rounds, each one the size of a human fist, traveling at 30% the speed of light. They hit before anyone could react. At those speeds, armor meant nothing. Shields meant nothing. The rounds passed through council ships like they were made of paper. They went in through the front and out through the back, leaving holes that glowed with heat. 6 ships died in the first salvo. Just gone, crumpled, atmosphere venting. Crews dying. Thelmarek stared at his screen. His translator struggled to process what he was seeing. That was impossible. Those were primitive weapons. Kinetic projectiles. Nobody used those anymore. They were slow. Easy to dodge. Easy to stop, except these were not slow. And the council ships, designed to fight energy weapons and missiles, had no defense against solid projectiles moving that fast. Jacques ordered evasive maneuvers. The council ships scattered, trying to dodge. But human point defense systems built to track and destroy tiny meteorites tracked the large council ships easily. The railguns kept firing, steady, accurate, merciless. Council ships tried to return fire. Missiles launched. The human point defense cut them down before they got close. Energy beams fired. The human armor absorbed them. The council weapons, designed to be non-lethal, were useless against ships built for war. 15 minutes into the battle, 90 council ships were destroyed or disabled. The rest were fleeing in panic. Ships that had never seen real combat, crews that had never expected to die. They ran, the human ships let them go. They did not pursue. They did not hunt down the survivors. They just stopped and waited. Then Commander Vasquez broadcast on all frequencies. Her voice was calm, professional, terrifying in its control. You imprisoned our home. You locked away our people without trial, without justice. We have spent 800 years in the dark, preparing for this moment. This is your only warning. Remove the barrier. Free Earth. Or we will teach this galaxy what human warfare really means. We have 3 ships, but we learned from you. We built from what we found. We are ready for war, are you? Thelmarek sat in his command center, staring at the casualty reports. 5,000 dead, in 20 minutes. The worst loss the Council had suffered in 2,000 years. And there were only 3 human ships. 3. What happened if there were more? What happened if Earth had been building ships for 600 years behind that barrier? For the first time in 600 years, Thelmarek wondered if the Council had made a terrible mistake. The galaxy had forgotten what humanity could do. Commander Vasquez was about to remind them, and something told Thelmarek the lesson was going to be written in fire and blood. President Maya Akandi stood in the solar parliament building on Earth, looking at the blue sky through the dome overhead. It was a beautiful day, the kind of day that made you forget there was a prison wall surrounding your entire solar system. Humanity had done well behind the barrier. No one could deny that. When the Council sealed them in 600 years ago, humanity had been struggling. Wars, pollution, overpopulation. The barrier had been a shock, a mystery, a challenge. But humans were good at challenges. They figured out the barrier was artificial. Alien. That meant humanity was not alone. It also meant someone had decided humanity should stay locked up. That knowledge changed everything. They stopped fighting each other. Why waste time on small conflicts when there was a bigger question out there? Who built the barrier, why? And most importantly, how do we get rid of it? 600 years later, humanity had answers to most of those questions. They had built a civilization that spread across the solar system. Earth was clean and green. Mars was terraformed with oceans and forests. Europa's ice had been melted. Titan's methane lakes were turned into energy. The asteroids were mines and factories. Humanity had reached what they called post-scarcity. Nobody went hungry. Nobody was homeless. Energy was unlimited. Resources were abundant. People worked because they wanted to create, not because they had to survive. And quietly, carefully, they had prepared for the day the barrier would fall. Because humanity never forgot they were prisoners, and prisoners always plan for freedom. Maya was woken at 3 a.m. by her security chief. There was a situation. Energy readings from the barrier. Something was happening outside. She dressed quickly and took a transport to Parliament. By the time she arrived, the science teams had already been working for hours. They showed her the data. A space battle. Outside the barrier. Energy weapons. Kinetic weapons, explosions, and something else. Human ship signatures, old ones. From the first expansion fleet. Maya felt her heart race. The first expansion fleet was legend. They had left Earth 800 years ago before the barrier. Everyone assumed they had died in deep space. But they were out there. Fighting. Then a laser communication punched through the barrier, tightly focused. Strong enough to get through. A message from Commander Elena Vasquez. Maya listened to the recording 3 times. We found home imprisoned. We demand answers. We are coming in. The words were simple, but they changed everything. Maya called an emergency session of Parliament. Representatives from Earth, Mars, Europa, Titan, and the Belt Stations all connected via hologram. 300 faces all waiting for her to speak. She told them everything. The battle. The message. The fact that humanity was not as alone as they thought. There were humans outside. Humans who had spent centuries in the dark, learning and building. Humans who had just defeated an alien fleet to reach home. The Parliament erupted in discussion. Questions, demands, fears, hope. Maya let them talk for an hour. Then she called for silence. We have a choice to make. We can stay behind this barrier, safe, comfortable prisoners, or we can break free. Join our brothers and sisters outside. Take our place among the stars. But that means risk. That means possible war. I need to know. What does humanity want? The vote was not even close. 300-0. Freedom, whatever the cost. Maya turned to Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's leading physicist. How do we bring down the barrier? Sarah smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had been waiting for this question for her entire life. We have been studying it for 600 years. The barrier is powerful, but it has a weakness. It was built to contain pre-quantum humanity. We are not pre-quantum anymore. She brought up a hologram, lines of code, energy patterns, mathematical formulas that made Maya's head hurt. The barrier is a quantum field. It needs quantum coherence to stay stable. If we hit it with enough quantum entanglement disruption from inside, we can collapse it. Like popping a bubble, how long? Maya asked. 24 hours. We need to sync every quantum computer in the solar system, from Earth to the Kuiper Belt. Once we start, there is no stopping. The barrier comes down, and we face whatever is out there. Maya nodded. Do it, and Sarah? She paused. Yes? What else should I know? Sarah's smile grew wider. You should know that we did not just study the barrier. We prepared for what comes after. Project Exodus. You should see it. 6 hours later, Maya stood in a hidden construction facility in the asteroid belt. She stared at what humanity had built in secret over 6 centuries. Ships. Thousands of them. Not civilian ships, warships. Each one incorporating 600 years of advancement. Quantum drives. Plasma weapons. Nanotech armor. AI tactical systems. Humanity had not been sleeping behind the barrier. They had been building, learning, preparing. Every generation added something. Better engines. Stronger weapons. Smarter systems. They built slowly, carefully, in secret in case someone was watching. 3,000 warships ready to launch. 3 million crew members trained and waiting. A fleet that could fight the galaxy if needed. Maya looked at the fleet admiral, an old woman named Chen Liu. She was Sarah's grandmother. Her family had worked on this project for 6 generations. Admiral, are we ready? Admiral Liu's eyes were hard. We have been ready for 600 years, Madam President. Give the order. Maya took a breath. She thought about what this meant. The end of isolation. The beginning of something new. Maybe war, maybe peace, but definitely freedom. Drop the barrier. Launch the fleet. Send a message to Commander Vasquez. Tell her she is not alone. Earth is coming. And we are bringing everyone. 24 hours later, the barrier fell. Every quantum computer in the solar system fired at once. The energy field collapsed, folding in on itself, disappearing like smoke and wind. And from the darkness, 3,000 human warships emerged. Behind them, Earth, Mars, the entire solar civilization, united, armed, free. The Council's sensors detected them immediately. 3,000 ships where they expected none, a civilization where they expected primitives, an enemy where they expected prisoners. Commander Vasquez received Earth's message. She read it twice. Then she smiled for the first time in decades. "Welcome home," she whispered to the fleet. "Now let's show them what humanity can do." The sleeping giant had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The council chamber on Valorian Prime was silent. 5 seats, 5 species, 5 ancient civilizations who had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Today they were afraid. The holographic display showed the tactical situation. 3 human ships from the first expansion fleet. 3,000 more from Earth, all armed, all dangerous. The first battle had proven that. Council ships were not designed for real war. Human ships were. Observer Thelmarek spoke first. His voice shook. "We made an error. A grave error. We imprisoned humanity when they were in their infancy. We thought we understood them. We did not. They have spent 6 centuries advancing, building. We gave them time and reason to hate us. The Valorian seat agreed. So did the Kalari and the Zenithar. 3 votes for negotiation, for peace, for admitting their mistake and making things right. But 2 seats voted differently. The Krell and the Tharn were warrior species, ancient ones. They had joined the Council millions of years ago, giving up war for peace. But they had never forgotten how to fight, and they did not like being threatened. Warlord Kraxus of the Krell slammed his fist on the table. "Negotiate? They destroyed our fleet. They threaten us with war. We are the Council. We do not bow to primitives. If we show weakness now, every species in the galaxy will question our authority. We must crush them. Show everyone what happens when you challenge us." Matriarch Silvara of the Tharn agreed. Her species communicated through psychic resonance, but the translation was clear. The humans are a cancer. We should have eliminated them 600 years ago instead of containing them. Now we have a second chance. Use it. Send the war fleets, all of them. 50,000 ships. End this before it spreads. The Council was split. 3 for peace, 2 for war. Under Council law, war required unanimous consent. But the Krell and Tharn did not wait for permission. They controlled their own fleets, their own empires. They launched anyway. 50,000 warships. Not peacekeeping vessels. Real warships. Ancient weapons that the Council had kept locked away for emergencies. Planet crackers. Star destroyers. Genocide weapons. They all powered up and moved toward Sol. The message they broadcast was simple. Humanity will be exterminated. This is not negotiable. Surrender is not an option. You threatened the Council. Now face the consequences. On Earth, President Akande received the transmission. She called an emergency meeting. Admiral Liu, Commander Vasquez via video link, Dr. Chen, the military chiefs, everyone who needed to make the hardest decision in human history. 50,000 ships, Admiral Liu said quietly. We have 3,000. Even with our technological advantage, those odds are not good. They have weapons we have never seen. Planet destroyers. If they reach Earth, they can kill everything. Do we surrender? Someone asked. No, Commander Vasquez said. Her face was hard. I did not spend 800 years getting home just to hand it over. We fight. If we die free. President Akande looked around the room. All these people, all these brave faces, they were ready to fight. Ready to die. But she was the president. She had to think about survival, about humanity's future. Is there another option? Any option? She asked. Dr. Chen cleared her throat. Actually, there might be. May I speak? Everyone turned to her. Sarah Chen was young, barely 40, but she was brilliant. Her family had worked on the barrier problem for 6 generations. If anyone had an idea, it was her. We have been preparing for war, building weapons, training soldiers. But we forgot something important. We are not just warriors. We are human. We are survivors. We adapt. We learn. And most importantly, we understand pain. She brought up a hologram, neural patterns, brain scans, memory engrams. This is Project Understanding. We developed it to help with long-distance communication, quantum-entangled nanoprobes that can interface with any neural structure. They let you share memories, experiences, emotions, everything. What are you suggesting? President Akandi asked. I am suggesting we show them everything, our history, our wars, our mistakes. Every terrible thing we did to each other, every lesson we learned. Let them experience what we experienced. Maybe they will understand why we are the way we are. Maybe they will see we are not the monsters they think. Admiral Liu shook her head. That is insane. You want to send unarmed ships into a war fleet? They will destroy you, maybe. Or maybe they will be curious. Maybe they will listen. It is worth trying. The alternative is war. We might not win. President Akande looked at Commander Vasquez. What do you think? Elena was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. Tired. Sad. In all my years out there, I learned one thing. Everyone thinks they are the hero of their own story. Even monsters. Maybe if we show them our story, they will see themselves differently. Maybe not. But Dr. Chen is right. It is worth trying. Do it, President Akandi said. But prepare the fleet for battle anyway. If this fails, we fight. If we are going to die, we die on our feet. 2 days later, 12 small human ships approached the Krell war fleet. No weapons, no shields, just communication arrays and neural interface technology. They broadcast a simple message. We want to talk. We want to show you something. Please listen. Warlord Kraxus almost ordered them destroyed. But he was curious. What could primitives possibly show him? He allowed one ship to approach his flagship, under guard, under weapons lock, ready to vaporize it at the first sign of threat. The human delegation was small, 5 people. They brought no weapons, just a small device. Dr. Sarah Chen led them. She looked at Kraxus and his warriors. These were killers, ancient, powerful, afraid. She activated the neural interface. It connected to every mind in the room, and she showed them humanity. All of it. The wars, the genocides, the nuclear weapons, the concentration camps, the slavery, every terrible thing humans had done to each other, every mistake, every horror. But she also showed them what came after, the choices to be better, the decision to change, the long, hard work of building peace, the understanding that strength without wisdom was just violence, that survival meant cooperation, not domination. She showed them humans at their worst, and humans at their best, and she showed them the choice, the same choice the Krell and Tharn faced now. Kill the threat, or understand it. When the interface disconnected, Warlord Kraxus was crying. He had lived for 3,000 years. He had fought in 1,000 battles. He had killed millions. He thought he understood war. He thought he understood violence, but he had never seen anything like human history. The sheer brutality humans inflicted on their own species, and the incredible strength it took to stop, to choose peace, to build something better from the ashes of their worst moments. We were like you, Sarah said quietly. Once. We nearly destroyed ourselves. We learned there is a better way. You can too. The question is, will you? Kraxus stood down. He sent the same neural interface to Matriarch Silvara, to both their fleets, to their home worlds. Within days, 50,000 warships powered down their weapons. They did not retreat. They just stopped, and waited, and thought. The galaxy held its breath. War had been seconds away. Now, there was something else. Understanding. Maybe even hope. 50 years had passed since the day the barrier fell. 50 years since humanity almost went to war with half the galaxy. 50 years since everything changed. Elena Vasquez sat in a garden on Earth, feeling the sun on her face. She was old now. Really old. 123 years. The medical technology could have kept her going longer, but she was tired. She had earned her rest. The garden was in Geneva, at the headquarters of the Concordat. That was what they called it now. Not the council. The council had died the day the Krell and Tharn stood down. In its place, something new had been born. Something better. The Concordat was a true democracy. Every species had a voice. Every civilization had representation. Nobody ruled. Nobody was imprisoned. The galaxy governed itself together. It was messy. It was slow. It was loud. But it worked. 47 species were members now. Some had been part of the old council's empire. Others were newly contacted civilizations. All were equal. All were free. Humanity had insisted on that. No more barriers. No more quarantines. No more deciding which species were dangerous and which were safe. Of course, humanity could have demanded leadership. They had proven themselves. They had the strongest fleet, the best technology, the respect of the galaxy. But they said no. They remembered what power without accountability looked like. They wanted something different. Instead, humanity took a different role. Teachers, peacekeepers, mediators. When conflicts arose, human negotiators helped find solutions. When new species reached the stars, human mentors guided them. When disasters struck, human rescue fleets arrived first. The galaxy had learned something important from humanity. Strength was not about domination. It was about choice. The choice to help instead of hurt. To build instead of destroy. To understand instead of fear. Elena heard footsteps behind her. She did not turn around. She knew who it was. President Maya Akande, now in her second century, walked slower these days. But she still worked. Still served. Some people could not stop. The galaxy needed them. Mind if I sit? Maya asked. Elena gestured to the bench. It is a free galaxy, or at least it is supposed to be. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. The garden was beautiful. Flowers from a dozen worlds grew together, alien and human plants thriving side by side. It was a good metaphor. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we had fought? Maya asked. If we had gone to war with the Krell and Tharn? Elena was quiet for a moment. Every day. We had the weapons, the training, the anger. We could have burned half the galaxy. But Dr. Chen was right. Showing them our history, our struggles, our choice to be better. That was the real strength. Not our railguns or our fleet. Our humanity. You know the Krell worship you now? Maya said with a smile. They built temples. They tell stories about the warrior commander who chose peace. They think you are some kind of saint, Elena laughed. It was a dry, tired sound. I am no saint. I wanted to fight. I wanted revenge. I was ready to kill them all. The only reason we did not was because someone smarter than me had a better idea. That is the real lesson. Sometimes the bravest thing is not fighting. The Concordat is having its annual summit next week, Maya said. They want you to speak. They always do. What should I tell them? Elena asked. That we got lucky? That we almost destroyed ourselves and everyone else? That the only reason we are here is because we learned from our mistakes? Yes, all of that. Because they need to hear it. The new species, the ones just reaching the stars. They look at us and see strength. They see power. They do not see the 600 years we spent trapped. The 800 years my crew spent in the dark. The near-extinction events we survived. They need to understand the cost. Elena nodded slowly. All right, I will speak. One last time. Then I am done. I'm tired, Maya, so tired. I want to rest. You have earned it. You brought us home. You saved us. You can rest. 1 week later, the Concordat Memorial Hall was filled. Representatives from 47 species. Thousands of people, both in person and watching remotely. Elena stood at the podium, small and old and frail. But when she spoke, her voice was strong. I left Earth 800 years ago. I came home to find it imprisoned. I was angry. We all were. We had weapons. We had the will to use them. We could have started a war that would have burned across the galaxy. And maybe we would have won. Maybe not, but millions would have died. Instead, we chose a different path. We showed you who we were, all of it. The good and the terrible. We shared our pain. our failures, our long journey toward being something better than our worst impulses. And you listened. You understood. You chose peace too. That is the real human strength, not our weapons, not our ships, not our technology. It is our choice. Every day we choose to be better than yesterday. We fail sometimes. We make mistakes. But we keep choosing, keep trying, keep growing. The council locked us away because they were afraid. They saw our violence and assumed that was all we were. They did not give us a chance to prove otherwise. Do not make that mistake with others. Do not judge species by their worst moments. Give them the chance to choose, to grow, to become what they want to be. We returned to Earth expecting to find a thriving civilization. We found a prison. We could have sought revenge. We chose justice. We could have demanded power. We chose service. We could have closed ourselves off again. We chose to join you. That is what makes us human. Not our past. Not our anger. Not even our resilience. It is our endless, stubborn hope that tomorrow can be better than today, that we can be better than our history, that the galaxy can be a place where everyone is free. The age of humanity's imprisonment is over. The age of the Council's tyranny is over. We stand now at the beginning of something new, the age of cooperation, of understanding, of peace built not on force but on choice. Each species choosing to be part of something greater. The galaxy is vast. There is room for all of us. Room for different ideas, different cultures, different ways of being. We do not need to fear each other. We need to understand each other. And when we fail, as we will, we need to forgive and try again. My journey began 800 years ago on a colony ship heading for the stars. It ends here in this hall surrounded by friends I never dreamed existed. I have seen humanity at its worst and at its best. I have seen the galaxy make the same journey. From fear to hope. From isolation to unity, from war to peace, the journey is not over. It never is. There will be new challenges, new conflicts, new species reaching for the stars. When they do, remember this. Every civilization deserves the chance to choose who they want to be. Give them that choice. Support them. Guide them, but never imprison them. Never decide for them what they can become. Elena finished speaking. The hall was silent. Then slowly the applause began, not just from humans, from everyone. Krell warriors, Tharn matriarchs, Valorian observers, Kalari scientists, 47 species standing together, honoring the old woman who had brought them all to this moment. That night, Elena died peacefully in her sleep. She had seen Earth freed. She had seen peace established. She had done what she set out to do 800 years ago. She had brought her people home, and she had made sure home was worth coming back to. 50 years later, a new exploration fleet launched from Earth. It was different from the first expansion fleet. These ships were not colony vessels turned warships. They were designed for discovery, for learning, for meeting new species and new worlds. The crew was mixed, humans and aliens working together, learning from each other. The old divisions had faded. Now there was just the Concordat. Just civilization, just people reaching for the stars together. The lead ship was named after Elena, the indomitable Dawn 2, a reminder of where they came from, of what they had overcome, of the choice they made to be better. As the fleet jumped to faster than light speed heading into the unknown, a message played on every ship. Elena's last speech, her final words to the galaxy, a reminder of what really mattered. We are not perfect. We are not special. We are not chosen. We are simply people who chose to keep trying, to keep hoping, to keep believing that tomorrow can be better. That is enough. That is everything. That is what makes us human. That is what makes us free. The fleet disappeared into the void. Behind them, Earth spun in space, free, open home. The long sleep was over. The great awakening had come and gone. Now there was just life, just the endless adventure of existence. Just the galaxy waiting to be explored. Humanity had slumbered for centuries. They had awakened to find themselves prisoners. They had fought for freedom, and they had won not through force but through understanding, through showing the galaxy their scars and their triumphs, through proving that even the most violent species could choose peace. The ancient warfleet had returned. But they brought more than weapons. They brought wisdom. They brought the hard lessons learned in 800 years of darkness. They brought the understanding that true strength comes not from the ability to destroy, but from the choice not to. The galaxy would never forget the day humanity came home, the day 3 ships became 3,000, the day the barrier fell, the day everything changed, but more importantly, the galaxy would remember what came after. The choice for peace, the decision to understand rather than destroy, the long, difficult work of building something better.